Yo, what's good? Your boy Cyber 706. This is KTSE Ave episode. And I'm gonna go ahead and start off with an extremely hot take. I think that this is gonna be extremely hot take, especially for me. I think I like, and I'm reserving my ability to change this take, but I think I like the bigger picture a little bit better than the Joe Budden podcast.
Oh, that is
At this
very
point.
spicy. That is very spicy coming from you.
Well, and again, so like they did their quote unquote 800 episode. I think they hit their 10-year anniversary like next week, so maybe there'll be a little bit more fanfare. But it's it didn't seem like it wasn't anything special, if that makes sense. Like I feel like I might listen to the podcast out of habit at this point. Not saying I don't like it. I do enjoy the different perspectives, but sometimes I feel like I've heard every conversation they could have ever had at this point. So it's just like they do on Patreon the Podwives, which is kind of interesting. That's kind of cool. But I think maybe because the bigger picture is more of a like music centric podcast, whereas Joe Budden kind of covers like various topics. Which again, it's still really good. I just like I guess as it starting out as a music podcast and getting an actual music podcast, you can see like the differences. But that was a random hot take. Marcus, what's good?
Chilling. I think one of the reasons why the 800 episode or 10-year anniversary doesn't really hit the same for the Joe Budden podcast right now is that the main people that contributed to the 800 episodes aren't there. You know what I'm saying? Like the cast they have now, they've been there for, I believe they said like 100 episodes, but like
Nah, it's more. It's got to be more than that. It's way more than that.
Like maybe 200 or like half.
Probably half. I'd probably say half.
Yeah, I think that might have something to do with it, and I think it'll show on the 10-year anniversary where it's just like you can't really go all the way because he's not going to talk about the previous co-host. He's not going to be like, oh well, the first few years or whatever. He's not going to give them. If it was like an amicable split, he's not going to give them their props for their contributions and all that stuff, and that's kind of something that you'd want to hear as someone that has listened to that podcast for so long. But when it comes to the bigger picture, my only issue with that podcast is that it's not produced well enough for them to take 3 days to release it. Like they record on Wednesdays and Thursdays and don't drop the episodes until like Saturday or Sunday. And then
they've been dropping kind of late recently.
Yeah, I'm like, they drop it and then like the sound's not always the best. They play stuff off of their phones and it's just like, why did this take 3 days to edit and put out? Like, what are we doing?
They've got better with the audio drops.
Yeah, but the last episode. As far as like the content though, I think the content is a bit more my speed because I every time the gender wars, I just can't. I don't care about a lot of the relationship conversations, the back and forth, and well, if men did it, like I would prefer they talk more about music. But every episode, like this is not a music podcast because nobody listens to music, and I'm like, why am I here? It's like, come on, I would just like them to stick more to that and not, this is how, you need to act when there's baddies around you or, the first year of your relationship doesn't count and stuff like I'm like, okay, like y'all are pushing 40 and 50 years old. Like I really, no, don't need that.
Shout out to the chat. Shout out to everybody tapping in the chat, even though I think y'all are bots, but we appreciate the bots. Go ahead and like and subscribe on YouTube. We're going to get the YouTube shit popping at some point. Because I hate editing podcasts. So what's going on? What's going on, Lily Marie? Shout out to Sean. Shout out to Purple Pro. Appreciate y'all tapping in. But yeah, we'll skip to the Super Bowl. Again, it's been a week. The dust has settled. Let me give y'all a yes, bot support. Shout out to Lily Marie. Yes, I will take whatever support we can get. If you want to like and subscribe, we'll appreciate your support, Miss Marie. But let's give a quick. Let me get the quick recap of the Super Bowl of the Chiefs versus the Eagles.
Is that dick good? Yes, kid. How good is that dick? Oh, how good?
So yes, that was a quick recap of what the Philadelphia Eagles did to the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl, expeditiously clapping those cheeks from dusk till dawn. From the first to the fourth quarter, it was a ass whipping of all ass whippings. It got to the point where I thought it was going to be like they were going to get blanked, like they were going to get the zero burger, but they got some garbage time points. But I would say love you too, Johnny Naramore. Not really, 'cause I don't know you, but Ja, I'm not about my girl list. That's that's futuristic. I respect that. We're not kink shaming anybody. If you want to, make love to your CPU and your hard drive, that's your business. I love Black Jesus, Misty. Black Jesus is the answer. Shout out to Black Jesus. What's up, JJ Produce. But yeah, man, they got their ass beat. There's not much to say about that. I did bet on the Chiefs ahead of the season. Thankfully, I cashed that out and reinvested those bets into a bunch of bets that I lost. So actually, fuck the Chiefs. I had a bet, I had a parlay that all they had to do was each team, and this is not even an unreasonable parlay. See, I need to make the parlay section of this podcast, even though it's the off season, football season's over. I'm not betting until football season starts. This is a very simple bet. All I needed was for both teams to have one rushing and one passing touchdown. That's it. The Eagles did that in the first 30 seconds of the game, but then the Chiefs just refused to do anything but throw long passes to fucking bum ass Xavier Worthy. But yeah, that didn't cash. But you know what? We listen, we grow, and we're gonna get it right next year. We're gonna crack the code. And when you see me with a diamond encrusted grill next year, don't ask any questions. But your quick thoughts on the Super Bowl. It was a boring game. Like it was not fun to watch.
It was pretty boring. I think it's football is one of the most like complicated sports, but also one of the more simple sports to understand. It's like if you have the best offensive line and defensive line, you're going to win. If you can pressure the quarterback with 4, then you're most likely going to win. And that's what the Eagles did. They had the best offensive line. They were able to pressure Patrick Mahomes with 4 players while dropping 7 into coverage. And it's just like, you can't beat that. Like Jalen Hurts had all day to throw. Patrick Mahomes didn't. Like AJ Brown's players made plays, or the Eagles offensive players made plays. The Chiefs offensive players didn't. It starts in the trenches. Get in the trenches and move people around, and that's what they did whole game.
What's up, Shan? Sorry, Lily. The Chiefs are not better. They got their ass beat. Like, did you not hear the recap of the game? Let me play that recap again. This is another recap of what the Eagles did to the Chiefs.
Is that dick good? Yes. How good?
Oh my god!
How good?
Yes, that is again. That's what happened. That is what the Eagles gave the Chiefs the Yes King treatment.
God damn!
Gave them the Yes King. Shout out to Chanley. Gave them the Yes King treatment. The Eagle says, "Submit to me, submit to me."
Stop running from me. It's so nasty.
Hey man, if you know, you know. You know what? We'll get to that later. But hey, we appreciate y'all coming through, Lily. Hail Chiefs Kingdom, whatever they be saying. Yeah, it wasn't an entertaining game. But the halftime show got a lot of controversy, a lot of buzz.
Whole lot.
Damn, Johnny begging for a shout out. Yeah, shout out to Johnny Naramore. Salute to you, King. But yeah, the halftime show got a lot of buzz. It was interesting because I think via the Joe Budden podcast, they said that the list leaked and people didn't believe that was actual set list. And I guess it was it 100% set list, or was it like,
yeah.
Oh, okay. So a lot of people weren't happy with it. What I will say, my observations were that it feels like to me, and it's not really crazy to think about once you kind of do the science, but it seems like to me that the Pop Out was a way better produced show as far as like the cameras, And I would say the energy is probably different because it's a more intimate setting with like kind of a you're having a home game, right? Versus like a Super Bowl corporate crowd. But to me, the pop out felt a little bit more loose, not as uptight. It seemed like he was having more of a good time versus the Super Bowl. You have to put on some sort of performance. I know there was the whole narrative, Samuel L. Jackson and playing the game, that stuff. But to me, I like the pop out better than the Super Bowl performance. But I think the performance was intentional. He did what he wanted to do. He didn't care what the naysayers said regarding playing his hits, which kind of makes sense that he didn't because they were saying that he has more rights to the newer music. So like shit, if I'm getting the full like bag for my new songs and I'm about to go on tour and I made a bunch of new fans during this controversy, like I'm gonna play all the shit that's gonna make my fucking pockets big. So I understand that. But I did like the pop out performance better, and Amazon still needs to make the pop out available for purchase.
I think the I think the Super Bowl halftime performance was a better like production stage design. I think like you said, as far as like the audience interaction, it was a lot better because at the pop out, it's a lot of people from California, it's a lot of rap fans, a lot of Kendrick Lamar fans, and he was able to bring out way more people. Like even before he came out, like and when he came out, like he brought out pretty much all the TDE, brought Dr. Dre out, brought a lot of people on stage. And like with the Super Bowl, it's like you get this 10 to 15 minute window. And for him to put on that kind of show in that, small amount of time, I thought was very impressive. And looking at the set list, I wasn't like super impressed with it, but it's just like his execution of it made it a lot better. And having Sam Jackson kind of narrate, what's going on with it also helped with its, the ability to enjoy it and all that stuff. But I don't know. I never really thought about if that one was better than the pop-up. I just think, the pop-up, he had way more time to perform and kind of stretch it out and do more songs. But I mean, if I'm getting paid more for the GNX songs, I'm definitely doing the GNX songs. And he's about to go on tour with GNX. And, he made it a point to just be like, all right, I'm not going to do the same. Like, I'm not going to do the legacy act that people usually do for the Super Bowl halftime show, where it's like, all right, well, let's go through your career hits, all your big hits and all that stuff. Like he wasn't really putting that out there for the halftime show. And, I just think that the people that really didn't like it, obviously it's like the regular people that you wouldn't expect to like it didn't like it. But what I liked about the halftime show was that he put on a rap performance. Like he was out there like rapping with like not hard songs, but like more lyrical songs. Like it wasn't a lot of easy, catchy rap tunes. It was like you gotta be able to rap to do those songs. And he did that damn near flawlessly.
Yeah. It was interesting, the verbal gymnastics some of the people were doing regarding Kendrick Lamar not being a big enough artist. Shout out to the homie Steedy. He told me, shout out to Jazz. What's up?
Not the biggest. No, okay. Can we talk about that real quick? As far as
let me tell you the story that was relayed to me. So the homie Steedy was talking to a older Caucasian gentleman who had some commentary about the Super Bowl performance, saying that, hey, he doesn't know why Kendrick was there. He's not a big enough artist. And the homie is way better than me, because I just get mad and I don't like to have those conversations. But the homie Steedy, he's very poised and he's very knowledgeable about music and other things. So this man proceeded to walk him down with all the metrics, awards, Grammys, impact, the history. And I was like, yeah, you're better than me. But he essentially said he wasn't a big enough artist. Okay, well, he won 5 Grammys. Well, it's not inclusive enough. He's like, have you heard his list of hits? Well, they should bring somebody that's not divisive. Who isn't divisive? Jelly Roll. I'm like, bro, get the fuck out of here. Like, what are you
Jelly Roll?
What do you
General is brand new. He don't have hits
just
like
just
that.
just say you're not in the mix. Just say like everything's not for everybody, right? Like
No.
just say that. For you to say that Kendrick Lamar's not a big enough artist or that he shouldn't be there, and kind of just ignore. Oh, one of the big points that he brought up was like, hey, you're saying he's not a big enough artist, and he's like, well, who is? Taylor Swift, Beyonce? Guess what? Kendrick has this amount of Grammys comparable to them. He sold out the same arena tours as both these artists. He's been in the game, blah, 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 blah. I was like, yeah, he cooked this dude. He was pretty much getting him to say, the quiet part out loud. I don't like that rap music.
Are those gang members up there? Are they crip walking? No. Get that off my TV.
And the other crazy thing was I saw like a little one of those like off-brand Fox News channels, like news clips or some shit. He's like, oh yeah, he was this unknown artist was bro. Dog, did y'all not listen to Damn where like he used the whole sample from Fox News of them like talking about him? Like people know who Kendrick Lamar is. Like the idea that he's just this unknown artist after he has taken over the world for the past year, like to the point where Duolingo is dropping diss tracks against Drake.
Oh yeah.
This is how big this is how big of a year this person has had. Where a app to teach you how to speak multiple languages is talking about teaching people how to say A minor in various dialects.
Oh.
Like that's insane. There's no more bigger impact you can have musically. And even to the part where like, hey, it's inclusive. Well, Kendrick Lamar as a choice matters to the people that matters, right? Everybody is writing, is drafting off this Kendrick Lamar wave for engagement, advertisements. Dog, you have Heinz Mustard talking about, what I'm saying? Like, what are we talking about? That he wasn't big enough artist for this stage. Just say you don't like rap music, you're not in the know, or you're racist. One of the two. Like one of the comments to do was like, oh yeah, this is the first Super Bowl that was essentially like he said monochromatic, so I think that means like only black people. And this dude on TikTok proceeded to show multiple Super Bowls of like just all white people, or saying like, oh, this was the worst Super Bowl halftime show of all time. He was like, well, actually, do you remember when New Kids on the Block did the Super Bowl halftime show? Which I'm like, that's crazy that they even got that opportunity. But he's like, that was the worst Super Bowl halftime show of all time. Like people were like, oh, we want Nostalgia X. One lady mentioned that, in this. And I don't think she was being like, she's just out the loop. But she said that, a non-divisive person that could have done the Super Bowl was Dolly Parton. And I was like, the minute they announced that, I am turning my TV off immediately. Like Dolly Parton is not keeping everybody around for the ads and the advertisements or getting eyes on the brand. Like that's like when the Who did the Super Bowl. Like who gives a fuck?
You know what I'm saying?
Like what are we doing?
I don't even know if I think if certain people knew like the things that Dolly Parton supported and where she put her money at, they wouldn't call her non-divisive. Like, and then she the things that secret tattoos that she's kept covered up for like 60 years or some shit. Oh, really? I didn't know that. Have you heard? So apparently, this is weird. I don't know why we're going off the rails. I don't know how you know this. So go look up pictures. I think she never shows her arms, like ever. She's never shown her arms. And allegedly, she has like tattoos that she doesn't want people to see. That's the rumor. Like she never performs. Somebody fact check me, but I'm pretty sure you cannot find a performance of her with her arms like exposed. Let me listen. I mean, maybe if these are like recent tattoos, but I was more so saying that like she's very supportive of like black people as far as where she puts her money at and some of the causes she supports and things of that nature, and that would probably be considered divisive if anybody else were to do the same things. Yeah, and like this one wasn't even as crazy as his other Super Bowl performance, or even Beyonce's Super Bowl performance. Like, what or even like his Kendrick had like a Grammy performance. Where came out like, yeah, it's like, chain gang. You want to see divisiveness? He can give you divisiveness, but that wasn't divisive at all. I just took it as it was a great rap show. Like he was just like there was a couple songs like I didn't expect to hear. Like Man in the Garden or Euphoria to be slipped in there, but like him just rapping his ass off out there, it just goes to show like, yo, I try to put on a great show. I try to perform at a high level, and I'm trying to be the best out here. And you put out an effort, and that's really all I want from my artists is to go out there, put effort, and try.
Yeah, I wonder if President Trump stayed long enough to watch the show. I would have loved to have like a
A steady
camera, a
cam.
live reaction, yeah, just to see what his thoughts were. Like, oh, I like this. I like this guy out here. He's great. Just confused as hell on what is going on, or what the messaging was going on with the show. So he's like, oh, Sam Jackson, I love that guy. It's one of my
Yeah.
favorite actors. We used to party back in '86 or some shit like that. But yeah, it was definitely an interesting show. And the great thing is that because Jay-Z is still in charge, that there's not going to be a backlash. So they're probably going to get more of this hip hop next year. So buckle up.
Do we have any early predictions for the I think it's in San Francisco the Super Bowl is next year?
I don't know. Let's see. Super Bowl 2025. Nope, 26. Let's see what the internet is saying. Oh, it's gonna be it's in Santa Clara, yes, in Cali. I don't think they'll double dip with the Cali thing. TBD. I don't know what. I don't know. It'll probably be. I don't even know. It's a little too early, but it would be interesting if they triple dipped on the Cali thing. But I don't think they'll go that direction. I think they'll have some Cali acts there.
For
But
a halftime show?
yeah, because they had Kendrick Lamar this year. Oh no, they had Rihanna, so they could maybe go back to Cali because there was a gap. I'm thinking that the
Dr. Dre one was 2 years ago.
Okay, so maybe they might yeah, they might double dip. I don't know if they'll do like Kendrick. I'm sure he'll show up, but I don't know. That's a tough one. It's a little too early, but if we're gonna do early real quick, I think that the Texans are a dark horse to win the AFC. That's my hot take.
That's a nasty take.
I think
Absolutely nasty.
I think had the receivers had not been injured and the refs didn't cheat for the Chiefs, like if we're gonna be honest, going back to I ain't want to do this, but I had to get this. If we're gonna be honest, the Chiefs should have never been in the Super Bowl. Like I know there's a whole thing that they found. Did you? All right. I would say there's at least 5 games where referee poor calls or missed calls like directly affect them winning or losing the game. Like as bad as the Falcons were a horribly missed call from winning that game. Blatant pass interference like Kyle Pitt in the red zone. Just tuck the flag, spray the whistle. Like, and that's to the Falcons. There were other games where it's like, all right, bro, what are we doing? Like, this is what we're doing right now. So if we're being real, they shouldn't be there. And I said that before. I don't know if it was on the podcast. I was like, hey, either we're going to see the refs blatantly cheat in 4K in front of millions of viewers, or it's going to be a fairly called game. And when it's a fairly called game, it looks completely different. But I think had the Texans had their full wide receiver core and the refs didn't cheat for the Chiefs, I think the Texans would have gave them that work. Shit, if Mark Andrews wasn't selling against the Bills, I think they would have gave them that work. So, but that kind of goes to my next topic or thought that I had earlier. So I ran across a YouTube video. I actually watched a couple of YouTube videos from like Derrick Henry and his diet and his training regimen, which is insane if you hadn't watched it. But then I saw like a little clickbaity Saquon Barkley workout training regimen video. It was pretty interesting. But I had a thought that this was the off season of running back free agency. And I was like, damn. So Derrick Henry arguably could have been a MVP candidate, just like Saquon Barkley was, even though he should have got way more votes than he did. I was thinking in my head, like, damn, I wonder what the fortunes would have been for both teams had each running back went to the opposite team. Like, say the Ravens got Saquon Barkley and the Eagles got Derrick Henry. And I don't know. I can't. I don't know if that changes things a lot. I don't know. I don't know if the fate changes. I think it may have been. I still think the Eagles probably still win the Super Bowl, only because their team is built in a way where their defense is good enough or great where you can run the ball, clock control, and they can handle things at the back end. But the other thing with that is Saquon Barkley, his explosiveness changes the game in the blink of an eye as far as what he can do as far as breaking long runs and just breaking teams' will with continuously breaking these long runs. But I think just because how the Eagles are constructed, I think that they still end up better. But it would have been interesting to see how that would have looked with Saquon Barkley on the Ravens. I feel like on the Ravens, because their wide receiver core isn't great, they probably would have found more ways to get the ball in his hands as a receiver, which the Super Bowl surprised me that they threw Saquon the ball that much because they did. I think he averaged maybe 2 targets a game or something like that, but they were throwing the ball all over the place, which makes sense. But
who do you think is better?
Who do I think is better
between the two, between Saquon and Derek? Like if you just got no, you don't know what team they're going to, you don't know what scheme they're running. It's just hey, we got Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley. Who do you want?
Let's see.
We're not telling you what team. We're not telling you nothing. It's just who do you want?
So for me, with players, no, it's a stylistic thing. It's a stylistic. It depends what you're going to do.
Nope, I'm not telling you anything. I'm giving you no information, no nothing. It's just Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley. Who do you want?
Who's check better? Let me check one.
I feel like it's easy. I feel like this is an easy answer. For me, it's easy.
I mean, if you want to go down the whole I mean, you got to put the ball in your hand, bro.
Pound the A gap.
You gotta pound it, brother. That's how football works, man. That's just
Good. How good is that dick? Oh, how good.
Oh, good.
A+ community.
Who's better?
Okay, look, you can do the whole thing, the best abilities availability situation. It's not a black and white question.
Pick one.
For the style of football that I would play.
We're not picking styles, just pick the player. You don't know what the style is. Just pick one. Just pick. There's no wrong answer here. They're the top 2 running backs in the NFL. Just pick one.
So based on consensus on draft position, the answer would be Saquon Barkley.
Who are you picking? Who's the better running back?
They both don't catch out the backfield. That's for one thing that I don't understand.
I think Saquon's a better option out of the backfield. I think Derrick Henry's a liability out of the backfield, but for me, I think Saquon's a better running back. I would take Saquon in any situation. Derrick Henry's probably a better straight line runner. They're both pretty explosive and can break long runs, but I think Saquon's a little bit more versatile as far as catching the ball out of the backfield. And I think if you were to switch the two of them, I think the season still goes the same. I still think the Eagles dominate the Super Bowl because they have a dominant offensive line. You could have put any running back there for the most part, and they would have won. And I think that you put Saquon on the Ravens. I think the Ravens maybe get past the Bills, but I still think the Chiefs win that Super Bowl or get to the Super Bowl. I just think Saquon's the best running back in the league, and Derek obviously has been more consistent and has had a better career than Saquon.
Yeah, I'm looking at the yards right now. He's 19th in NFL rushing history in yards.
Yeah. I mean,
that's what I'm like. He's okay. He happened to have one of you could argue, the luckiest fortunes of a person who was not re-signed by a team. Giants fans, him winning the Super Bowl might have been 9/11 part 2 to them, because it's we literally just had this guy on our team. He was literally right here. We could have re-signed him. We could have did anything we want, and he goes off and almost pretty much has a career season as running back, caps it off with a Super Bowl win. That guy was a guy that y'all drafted, had on y'all's team, and y'all let walk to y'all's division rival, or to a division rival, or a team in your division. I don't know if they're necessarily rivals, but to pretty much run away with the season, win a Super Bowl. So that had Saquon been like, hey, I'm going to be greedy. I don't know what they paid him. Most times they'll go to like where the highest bidder. What's up, 8Ball? They'll go to the highest bidder. Let's say he ended up on a team. I mean, let's say he went to the Chiefs. I think they do a little better, but I don't think that he moves the needle in that way just because of their offensive line is not that great and their defense is high. But yeah, it's it was a very serendipitous situation for Derrick Henry. I'm sorry, for Saquon Barkley. Because again, if he goes to the New Orleans Saints or the Falcons or any of these other teams, it's just like, all right, well, you're really good, but we're not going to win a Super Bowl. That kind of shows like the whole team thing, the team effort.
It's kind of like the argument that people have that, well, people like me put out against Emmitt Smith, where it's like Emmitt Smith was good, but he also played behind like one of the greatest offensive lines ever built. Like you put Barry Sanders on the Cowboys
35 years.
Yeah, he kind of ran those numbers. Like he was kind of a compiler towards the end. But you put Barry Sanders on Dallas. Okay, relax. You put Barry Sanders in Dallas, like he's running for 2,000 yards every year because he's a better running back than Emmitt Smith was. You put Emmitt Smith
right.
You put Emmitt Smith on the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions don't win 2 or 3 Super Bowls just because they have Emmitt Smith. Like that's just how I look at it. And I think that's what happened with Saquon. Saquon went to the best offensive line in the league while also being one of the best running backs. So that just makes it look a lot better.
Yeah, I didn't realize the numbers were this close for Barry Sanders and Emmitt Smith. Barry Sanders is 4th in the league with 1,269 rushing yards. Emmitt Smith had 1,355. And Emmitt Smith played 26 seasons, and Barry Sanders played not 26 seasons. Yeah, so if he wanted that record, it was his to have. And behind him is one Adrian Peterson, who, had he not like got injured, I think Adrian Peterson to me is kind of like a combination of Saquon and Derrick Henry. Like he's kind of like the prototypical running back that I would take. He's explosive, he's fast. Again, he doesn't catch out the backfield, which whatever. He's the other things, but he's the running back that makes people make business decisions. But he also can run by you, run through you. Like he was a monster at his prime. Like with Derrick Henry, he's the type that makes you make business decisions, but he's explosive enough to break long runs, but he's not like consistently breaking them like Derrick Henry can, right? I feel like that a good, fusion of 2 running backs would be Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley to give you an Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson was a monster. Like that dude was a beast. I didn't get it, but he's definitely
I don't think he doesn't have like a maybe I don't know the numbers that well, but I don't think he has like a top 5 running back of all time career to go with him. But if you told me like, hey, you can pick like one running back for 1 year, like you get 1 year of their best, like who are you taking? He'd be number 2 for me. Like for 1 year, Adrian Peterson is the second best running back ever for me. Just style, just speed, power, elusiveness, all of that. For me, I'm taking Marshall Faulk number 1, and then Adrian Peterson number 2. Those guys are just unstoppable. And probably Barry Sanders number 3, I think.
Yeah, well, and that's again for a stylistic thing for me is that even though Barry Sanders is going to juke you out of your socks, shoes, ACLs, MCLs, all that stuff, when somebody doesn't want to hit you, when you put the fear of God in another grown man, I don't need to juke. You're just going to get out of my way. You like,
yes.
I'm making a beeline towards your shoestrings. I know I'm not gonna make no contact with you, but I'm gonna look like I'm gonna try to attack you, and I'm just gonna let you go by because I have a family. Yep. I value my spinal column. That's what I'm saying. Like that's where a stylistic thing for me is like, all right, well, that's kind of what I would want. But if I was playing like maybe, I don't know, West Coast type offense or something like that, I would go with a little bit more of a shiftier running back or. Yeah, definitely. Styles make fights for me in that type of situation. So, Shout out to the running backs. Shout out to the Eagles for beating that ass. I don't know if I want to bet them as a bet to repeat. I know there's a couple guys on the D line that they might not be able to re-sign, but again, the draft comes up every year, and if they can just plug and play or sign some people in free agency, I think they will be decent. I did want to say my early NFC dark horse would be, I think it's possible. I think there's some money to be made here if they make the right moves. But I think the Washington Commanders could be a dark horse to win the NFC.
Ooh.
And the only reason I say that is because they have like $96 million in cap space. So they can make some things happen. Like if I'm a Myles Garrett, shit. Like let me play with the young boy. Let me play with the young boy. Pay me, we'll draft some people. That's what I would do. The only thing with that is that they had no answers for the Eagles as far as pass rush. But also like he was your boy was young. I forgot his name already. Damn. Jaden Daniels. He was young. Barring a sophomore slump, if he can build on his rookie campaign, they can put some more weapons around him. Like he really only has one weapon, Terry McLaurin. Then he has like Olamide Zaccheaus and some other like lesser grade people. If they can really put a little bit more talent around him and like get some pieces on defense, I think the sky could be the limit with them. And if they hit on some draft picks, so I think that could be a dark horse for the NFC because that's Jaden Daniels is a problem. He's a problem.
He's really good. He's really good. If you had to build that team, if you were like the GM in charge of that, and the owner's like, all right, you can focus on building up this offense to be like 30, 35 points a game style of an offense, or you can add a receiver maybe in the draft, but we're going to spend most of our money on defense, like go bringing in like a Myles Garrett, trying to sign like veteran cornerbacks and really focusing on solidifying that defense to be top 5. If you can only pick one, you can only go through one of those doors with that team, with that quarterback. Which way are you going?
Defense. Clearly the Eagles showed the defense wins championships. I know it's very cliche, but when you have monsters coming in every play, the whole rushing forward thing to me and not having the blitz is insane. Like I don't play Madden. I don't play Madden anymore, but that team is built how I played Madden. That would be the perfect Madden team for me. You have a monster running back, you have good enough receivers, you have a quarterback that can run, and then you have a defense that is unstoppable. Again, they were on his ass rushing, not blitzing the entire game. Like that's a team that would be banned. If I still play Madden, like if I see somebody in the rankings pick the Eagles, I'm not playing them because I already know it's about to be some bullshit. So I'm like, no Eagles, like because it's not fair. But I mean that's the advantage they built for themselves because teams like the Falcons want to pass on the Jalen Carters and draft Bijan Robinson. So it is what it is. So. And the Falcons are not getting Myles Garrett. Like, good luck. Like, that's a fucking pipe dream. It's not going to happen.
He said he wants to compete. So, I think if you're looking at all the NFC teams, I think the Commanders are up there. I think maybe like the Packers, but like you're not going to a team that missed the playoffs. It doesn't have a proven quarterback because you could have just stayed in Detroit for that, or not Detroit, Cleveland for that. So I just don't think Atlanta is a viable choice. What I really want to see is like I like how people are always just like, yeah, I want to go somewhere and compete, and I want to go somewhere to win. Like, because Saquon Barkley is a free agent after this year. Like, I think it would be hilarious if like he just decided I'm going to take another 1-year deal and go sign with the Chiefs because I want to win. You know what I'm saying? Or if Myles Garrett was just like, I'll forego some of my money to go play with the Chiefs, and I don't know. I just think it'd be interesting if people actually, they say they care about winning, but like they care about winning, but they also want to get paid. They also, want the long-term contracts and all that stuff, which I get. I'm not, shitting on him for that, but I just think that would be interesting if Saquon was like, if he pulled a Deion Sanders, like how Deion was on the Cowboys, and then he left and he went to the 49ers and they won a Super Bowl right the very next year. So.
No, I think he's got too much of a good thing, and he has opportunity to play his old team twice a year. So I think there's some underlying motivation for him to kick it and Philly. So, but yeah, that's where we're at with that. I know you started Severance. We've been talking it up. What are
y'all
your
were.
thoughts?
I think it's an interesting show. I thought I thought it was going to be more along the lines of The Office, like a little bit more.
Oh, well, you're as far off as you could possibly be.
I thought I would be laughing a little bit more watching this show. It is not a funny show at all.
It's not even
But
close.
it's still good. It's very interesting. It's weird in some aspects. It's a little bit more. I don't want to say it's like sci-fi, but it's definitely like Black Mirror-ish, and I'm a big Black Mirror guy. So, yeah, Severance is. I'm trying to see how I can talk about the show without like spoiling anything, but it's just a show where like it's like people just split their minds when they go to work. So technically you never go to work, right? Like in your brain, when you show up to work, your brain switches off and you never experience going to work. So you just go to work and then you're leaving. You never have to experience like the 8 to 12 hours of actually being at work. You just get to live your life as a regular person doing whatever you want on the outside. But your other side of your brain is actually only at work. That's the only life they live. Like they go to leave, they get in the elevator door shuts, and then the elevator door opens and they're back at work for another shift, and they're just only at work. And it's kind of like it makes me think about like, you know, the whole concept of like cloning people and how that would work. So it's kind of like, are they real? It's a lot, but I'm enjoying it. I finished season 1 in 2 days. I just burned right through it.
Yeah, shout out to Mr. Milchek and Defiant Chaz. That dude is terrifying, but he's funny.
Yes.
He's oh my god. So I mean, to me,
the show's a nightmare.
Yeah, I think in theory, had things not gone south with the former employee, I think in theory it would make sense. But even the people in the town were like, yo, this shit is unethical. And I need to, if I can find my damn book bag one day, I'll start reading a book, this philosophy book that kind of makes some good points. Like it's more of a consent issue, right? Because yes, you are consenting to being severed, but there's now another person involved in this that clearly may not want to do this. Like, no spoilers, but Helly R did not want to be there. She did not want to be there. She showed many a times that she did not want to be there in various extreme ways. So it's like, hey, that's cool that you up there, your Audi is like, yo, yeah, I'm gonna do this process, but now you have another person. Like, it should be a double consent thing. Like, if the person on the inside is like, yeah, I'm cool, I'll do this, that's fine. But like when the person on the inside, the indie's like, hey, like Helly R, like, I don't want to do this no more. You're kind of like, hey, well, guess what? You don't get to make this decision. Well, I'm here. I don't want to be here. So that's where the idea of like, hey, man, there should be consent on both parties. So like, hey, if this person doesn't want to do this, they should be able to leave, and they should be able to leave whenever they want to. Like, it's an interesting thought exercise.
I mean, there's also a little bit of that whole the high-end wealthy class exploiting like lower class people. Like, there's that aspect that goes into it. And there, I'm not going to say who said it, but there was a line said in the show that while I was watching the show, I was in it, and I was enjoying it. But there was one line that really just kind of like snapped into me where I was just like, oh, okay, now I get it now. And one of the characters said, I am a real person. You are not. And when they said that, I was like, okay, now I get what they're trying to do here. Like, now it's starting to make sense. Now it's like, this is not how it's supposed to be, or this is where like the conflict lies, where it's just like the person on the Audi doesn't view the innie as an actual person. Like, you don't have a soul. You know what I'm saying? You don't have control over it. Like, this is my body, not yours. Even though it feels like your own body, it feels like, you're making your own decisions, but you don't. There's certain things that they don't even the innies don't even understand because they don't have any concept of the outside world or anything. All they know is what's at their job. So that was the part that really like woke me up, and I really tapped in and got locked in on the show after that.
And also, what the fuck are they doing? Like, I need to know what this micro
That's
data
what that was.
mission is. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, what is going? Because it's, again, if you think about it too, because Milchek can go down there like as himself. So I'm like, is he seeing something different than we're seeing? You know what I'm saying? Like what are they actually doing?
I think it's one of those things where like the actual job doesn't matter. Like, I don't think that's like part of the story or the show. Like, it's just it's almost like how I took it. It's like kind of how people just have like remedial, mindless jobs that they don't even think about. They just go and just do it, and it doesn't mean anything. Like what do you do? Like, just whatever, send it on up the chain or emails, and it's just like the job doesn't matter. It's not about the job. It's like it's about the actual people and what they're doing and how they're being treated and how they're being exploited in a way. And it's just like the job doesn't matter. Like, I don't think we'll ever get that.
I think that's actually a big part of what's going on. So we'll see as you continue with season 2. I definitely highly recommend Severance. Also, this kind of a kick at Apple that they don't market any of their shows, but they have like the best shows I've seen on TV in the last couple of years. I watched the first episode of Silo, which is also on Apple TV. It's really good, to the point where I bought the books just because I could probably read the books a little bit quicker. And I like shows that are based off stories because you kind of see what they did different. And yeah, just from the first like 50 pages of the book, the first episode is the first episode is they use elements of the story, but they're going in a different direction, if that makes sense. Like, I see what they're doing. Like, they have the same characters, but they're kind of molding the story in a different way, maybe to make it more palatable for TV. And they go in depth on a couple more things, I guess, to kind of make it hit home a little bit more. But it's definitely a solid show. So I definitely recommend that. But as we wrap up, 2 things I want to point out. Apparently, TikTok is officially back. There was no fanfare that I saw. I just logged in because I didn't delete my app, and there was like, oh yeah, it's back. And I checked if CapCut was back. CapCut is also officially back. But the one point that I want to point out, and it might be my algorithm, I need to maybe retool it a bit, but every time I log on there's some Yes King audio, like all the time. And I'm just like, bro, is this what TikTok has become? Like, is this what we're doing all day? And it'd be new audio too. So if you don't know what Yes King is, just look it up on TikTok. But also, I logged on there today, and now there's a Yes King coin. Like, they're selling Yes King cryptocurrency, which, I mean, if that's how you want to lose your money, just send it to me. I'll send you my Cash App, because like, why? What are we doing? This is yeah, man. I don't get it, but shout out to him. Love and light, finesse. Get your King's coin.
For sure. I mean, if Hawk Tua can come up with a coin, then I don't see why Yes King can't. Money for everybody. Let them all get it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go do my song of the week, and strangely, I love cocaine rap, right? But I'm not.
I'm glad you never said been a big fan of that.
Oh yeah. I've never been a big fan of Cocaine Carols of one Abel Tessite, what the fuck is his name? The Weeknd, right? I've never been a big Weeknd fan. I even wasn't like bragging on Twitter, but I know on Twitter at one point I said I've never listened to a Weeknd album. The first Weeknd album I listened to was Dawn FM. So that's how late in the game I was like, oh, I like this. But I mean, the Weeknd songs are always like, all the singles are great. Like, even though it's got that 80s, I think it's a new thing, the 80s feel, the Cocaine Carol was just kind of, Jesus Christ. Randomly on Spotify, The Weeknd is the second most listened to artist in the world with
you're not listening. You're not listening to the weekend. Is a you thing. Everybody listens to the
369.
weekend.
Jesus Christ. The number is, I think, 1 billion listeners per month or something like that. Who's number one? Who's number one? Is there a chart in here?
Probably Michael Jackson, I would think. If I had to guess.
Ain't no way. Well, anyways, The Weeknd's new album is great. It's called Hurry Up Tomorrow. And my song that I recommend the album is called Cry For Me. It's track number 2. First track is fire too, but Cry For Me is also a heat. So if you're not a Weeknd fan, if you're late to the Weeknd party like me, do better. Album's fire. Tap in.
Have you listened to any of his older stuff? Or just Don
I'm
FM in this one?
I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back and check out some of his older stuff.
Okay. My song of the week. I'm a big fan of Dej Loaf. I am not a fan of Jacquees, but they decided to put out a joint project together on Valentine's Day. Fuck a Friend Zone 2. I think all the songs on there are pretty solid, and they all have the same sort of vibes to it. I will go with You Still Belong to Somebody Else. Like there's some toxic songs on here, but there's also some super, romantic, like vibey stuff on here. I think if you were to compare it to another joint album that recently came out on Valentine's Day, if I had to pick between the two, I would pick this one. If you're looking for actual, like, sexy, romantic songs to kind of get down to. So I would go with Jacquees and Dej Loaf over the other guys.
Is that dick good? How good is that dick? Oh, how good?
Respectfully.
Just real quick, so for context, Drake is the number 13th in the world on Spotify with 77 million listens. So Michael Jackson wasn't even ranked. So now I'm gonna figure out who the number one person on Spotify is, because that's crazy. But he's got some new music with Party Next Door. I heard there were some good songs. Oh, Kodak Black got a new single. With the tap into the project, baby. Anyways, appreciate y'all tapping into the pod, YouTube broadcast. Definitely subscribe, rate, comment, finesse the algorithm, all that shit. We appreciate y'all rocking with us. I know there's somebody supposed to get on the podcast, but we'll figure that out at some point. Appreciate y'all tapping in. We out. Peace.